Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Zachman, Zach, founder of Being Men, and it's the afternoon, and we're at Danny's studio. And we raised it up a bit today, didn't we?
We raised the level.
We're raising the bar, we're raising desks, we're raising all sorts of stuff about men in America, right? And today we're going to break it down, because we're going to break it down with a 7th degree master black belt sitting to my right. Yeah. And today we get to talk about physical fitness. So, yeah, martial arts, physical fitness, is that required
They
at all?
kind of work hand in hand.
Yeah.
They do.
I've heard this.
Yes, they do.
All right, so the first big question, right, is physical fitness important for men, Chris?
I think it's one of the most important things that you can do as a man, because I think so much of our strength that we have within inside of ourselves, we're physical beings. And I've just seen in teaching martial arts for so many decades that when people get in touch with that aspect of their physicalness and they feel confident about it, it can be transformative in their life. I think it's particularly with men. I think that we're physical, generally speaking, can be very physical by nature, and if we lose that, there's a bit of confidence that goes with that, right? And it's not only confidence; it's also the ability to connect with your kids as they're growing up, whenever, and be active. And I just think it's an integral part of being a healthy, balanced man as we age.
Yeah. I've been saying for years that our bodies are kind of like machines, and for guys that would be like a car.
Yeah.
So, would you put sand in the gas tank?
Right.
Would you drive it until the oil dries out and the engine seizes up? But yet, seemingly, we're doing that a lot with our physical
We do it, and the thing of it is it's not generally an event. It's not the cupcake that kills you. It's the 100th cupcake, right? Done consistently, and that's what ends up happening. I think with many men in the United States is we develop habits, and they continue to happen over time, and they whittle away, and pretty soon you wake up one day and you're 20, 30 pounds heavier than you were before. You can't touch your toes. You can't walk around the block. But it's not something that happens in an instant. It's something that happens over time.
Yeah, and by the time it happens, it's too late, right?
It's it's never too late. But the thing of it is that the biggest piece in terms, I think, that challenges people is not even so much the physical. It's the mindset that they get in, and they get they get sedentary, and then the talk inside their mind is it's too late. I can't do anything about it anyway. And then they're self-conscious about it, and then that projects onto other areas of their life as well.
So you got those self-limiting beliefs, and we've talked about the biggest muscle in your body is your mind.
Exactly.
And now you got this reciprocal relationship, and
that's right.
Either down the toilet bowl or up to the stratosphere.
That's right. Exactly. That's
so I have a question for you that I haven't asked you yet in the time that we've known each other. So martial arts, what happened? You were young,
I was
like a boy.
Yeah, I was
right?
10 years old. I was 10 years old.
Like was 5th grade or something?
Yeah, 4th grade. Fourth grade when I started, and there was a TV show called Kung Fu.
Kung Fu.
Just got enamored with that and begged my mom to let me go to my first class. And what most people don't understand in martial arts, because right now most of us would consider martial arts primarily a kids' activity that some adults participate in. A lot of families and whatever, and most of the kids in the United States. Well, when I started back in the early 70s, it was all adult males. And so no kids. So there was one other 11-year-old when I started. He lasted a couple weeks or months, and then he was gone. And it wasn't until the Karate Kid movie came out that all the kids started coming to the martial arts studios, right? In 1980. So that's how I got started. And I literally went to the first class, and I truly, Zach, I felt like I came home. It was
really?
It was the first class. I saw people moving around. I'm like, this is it.
Yeah,
and I never left.
You knew.
Yeah, I never left.
Now, you're only 10, so we're not that self-aware.
Right.
I mean, hell, we're 50 and we're barely self-aware now.
Yeah, that's right.
At 10, did you go in thinking, I need to do this for my physical fitness? Or was it really like, hey, that guy's really awesome on the TV and I want to be him?
You just want to be like the guy on the TV.
Yeah.
Although, I will say that when I was growing up, I was overweight as a kid.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I totally was.
You?
It was Chris Natzke, actually, when I
What?
was in second grade.
I've not heard this story.
Yeah. And so I used to get teased a lot about
now,
that.
Now, like a little bit?
No, I was chubby, man. I was.
Okay.
My mom used to call me husky, but I was fat.
Which is code for?
I was fat. And so, in fact, I remember in kindergarten, I got $10 a pound to lose 10 pounds when I was in kindergarten. Yeah, I was a little chubber. And so when finding martial arts did help me, because I started to train and the weight started coming off, and then I started going through puberty and I started growing. So all of a sudden I started feeling much more comfortable in my body.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, it's something that stayed with me for a long time. Even today, I can be self-conscious, right? About
You can?
yeah, totally.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you this story.
I don't mean to sound incredulous, but I'm like Mr. Seventh Degree Black Belt is conscious about his physical fitness or
It
strength?
shows how this stays with you. The story goes something like this. I'm about 8 years old.
Yeah.
I'm still carrying the weight. And I'm at my cousin's house, and a guy, the next door neighbor named Johnny, he's holding court. He's one of these kids that everyone loves. He's the total comedian with the parents.
Right.
And about 6, 8 of us are around, and he's talking about what it means to be in shape.
Got it.
Bodybuilder, big pecs, big arms, big shoulders, and I'm listening to him, and I'm like, Johnny, am I in shape? And he looked at me and he said, yeah, Chris, you're in shape, like a watermelon. And all the kids started laughing. Now, it probably lasted in their minds about 5 or 10 seconds, but man, it lasted with me for years.
Absolutely.
Because here I was felt like naked right there, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was when I did start martial arts. There was in the back of my mind that I was, because my heroes were these amazing athletes.
Yeah, right.
And I want to be just like them.
You don't want to be a watermelon.
That's right. You want to be a watermelon boy.
And kids are brutal, right?
Totally.
And adults too.
Totally.
That makes me feel better because I still go to Gold's Gym, guys. And just to let you know, like a lot of you may know I have this sick metabolism, but I go to Gold's Gym and I have that moment because I was a quarterback and this guy would wipe me clean because he had more weight. That's where I learned physics.
That's a lot of years ago.
And I can still be looking at these guys going, oh, I just wish that I had like 25 pounds more muscle.
Right.
And that is a 30-year-old story that I'm telling myself.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, great. So, okay, well, teaching. So you talked about martial arts, but you know what? Before I ask you the teaching question, so you said being aware. I want to dig a little deeper because the words sound great, but you're not just talking about, okay, you're standing here and you have your physical frame and I'm standing here about 2 feet away and I have my physical frame. Can you break down for men when you say you need to be aware about your physicality? Yeah. You know where I'm headed with that,
well,
right?
I'll tell you what, it is much, much more than just how we express physically. I mean, if we want to be healthy, I think there's a triad there. We have to be healthy in terms of our nutrition, which many men are not.
Right.
We have to be healthy about our movement, our exercise, and we have to be healthy about our rest. And in today's culture, rest is not, hey, if you get 4 or 5 hours of sleep because you're working, that's an honor badge for you.
Yeah,
right?
do you meet men, I know I do, that we brag?
Oh, totally.
We're like, I do 16-hour days on 4 hours of sleep. We're bragging about being
it's
sleep
ridiculous.
deprived.
It's ridiculous. And the same thing, with nutrition. And my opinion is there's so much knowledge out there now, there's really no excuse not to be able to have a good nutrition plan. I mean, back when we were growing up, we didn't know the things we know now, but it's there. But it is a choice, and we have to make that choice.
Absolutely.
And I think what's also important is it doesn't just come from vanity. It comes from the standpoint. But it comes from a standpoint of when you're investing in yourself nutritionally, it impacts the people around you. Guys, if you have a wife, you've got kids, whatever, you want to be around for a while, right? So you need to take responsibility for that because those kind of habits and behaviors also become multi-generational. So your kids see it, and
if you eat like crap, guess
that's right.
Who else is going to
That's right. You
eat
give them
like
permission
crap?
to do it too.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's really. I love the rest part. I'm guilty of it many times, guys. I mean, let's be honest. How many of us feel a little overworked, a little underpaid, a little stretched too thin? I mean, got the one job, maybe the second job. You have this thing called a spouse. You've got kids. You've got the house. You've got the chores. And man, and we don't really promote it that well.
No.
Right? It's like go, 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 produce,
right.
produce. Be an animal. Be a warrior.
Yeah.
Sleep is for. I would say it, but we have ladies that watch this. Sleep is for wussies.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's interesting. I was listening to this study several months ago. We've all heard the 10,000 hour rule, that it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert.
Sure.
Well, another part of that study, which isn't well known, is that those people that spend 10,000 hours becoming an expert also on average slept around 8.65 hours per day. Now that may not be
8.6?
right. 8.65. Now that usually meant that they were sleeping 7, 8 hours at night, and then they were taking a nap. But they were going hard. They were totally enmeshed in their work, and then they rested. So they knew. See, our bodies have to go through something called a circadian rhythm, right?
I've not heard of this.
Circadian rhythm is basically the balance of what we do. We eat at certain times and we go to bed at certain times, and we're in a rhythm, right?
Patterns, the cycles
Correct.
of your day and your night.
There's also something called ultradian rhythm. And what
Okay.
that says is we work best when we have short bursts of movement, of attention, of energy within 90 minutes to 2 hours.
Okay.
And then we have to rest. If you go to any elite athlete, they don't train for 8 hours a day, 8 hours straight. They work
exhaust
intensely,
themselves.
and then they rest, and then they work intently again.
like that.
So that ultradian rhythm is really important too. I can guarantee you, if when I do that, I can be more productive sometimes in 4 hours than I would be in 8 hours if I'm just driving.
Oh, that's a gift. You just gave me a gift. And
Yeah.
gentlemen, I'm gonna kind of paraphrase that, because the workplace, corporate America, do we work on 2 hour or 4 hour stints?
No.
Heck no, man. It's 8 hours, 4 or 5 days a week, right?
Yeah.
And you only are allowed to get up from your desk,
Right.
this desk, to pee twice at 10 and
right.
2 and
That's right.
go hit that 50-minute lunch.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
So think about that, gentlemen. Don't blame yourself, and don't be so hard and critical. Your inner critic and your self-judge of, God, I just can't figure this out. I mean, you just got a gift from a master. I didn't even know this. So you're going through this, and obviously watermelon disappeared.
That's
so
right.
You didn't have
Yep.
to deal with
Yep.
that
That's
anymore.
right.
And you probably got pretty good.
Yeah.
So now you're becoming an expert. So
Yeah.
you have better confidence because you're becoming an expert, and you've trimmed down, so you have that inner confidence.
Sure.
What made you want to transition from I'm a student, I'm a pupil, to, geez, I should teach or coach?
I think I've always had a tendency and a liking to teach. I always loved sharing knowledge. And also, and I've shared with this last time we were here, I was very much impacted by my instructor and the gifts that he gave me. And it was always very natural for me to give back in that way, because I wanted to, I was gifted by having people serve me, and I wanted to always give that back. And I love, one of the things that just totally lights me up is seeing when people have a breakthrough in their life.
Oh, yeah.
And many times in martial arts, for instance, it happened physically. Now, it demonstrated physically. There were a lot of things that were going on inside of themselves changing, but the manifestation was a physical.
Was
Like
in
if
the
they couldn't do
physical
a
realm.
kick and they could, or they couldn't
Yeah.
break a board and they could. Now all of a sudden it's all encompassed, but man, it shows physically.
So I
And it's
think what
pretty
you're
awesome.
telling us is the greater confidence in the physicality
Yeah.
can translate to greater confidence
Absolutely.
in the romance, can
Totally.
talking to
Totally.
your
And
at
it
your
doesn't mean
job.
you're an elite athlete. It just means that you're comfortable in your body. You're comfortable in terms of how you walk and how you stand, and how your presence is comfortable. And when you have that, that's a gift that's invaluable, right?
Oh,
because
yeah.
you can feel that in someone. When someone walks in a room
Oh, yeah.
and they're physically confident, you can feel that.
And people are attracted to that, right?
Totally.
The
Yeah.
attraction versus the repelling, and
That's
you
right.
get those toxic people, or the negative nannies, as I call them,
Yeah.
and you're just like, you don't want anything to do with
right.
that person. But somebody who's, gentlemen, and hear this. I've been saying this for years. The guy that jumps up on top of this table, starts tearing his clothes off and beating his hairy chest, telling you what a man he is. Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's total insecurity. That's the lottery ticket, right? The metallic silver foil lining, look good, smell good, taste good, and underneath that, you didn't win crap. Versus the man like yourself, that calm, cool, collected. Your sense of well-being is right there. So, all right, I gotta ask this one. It's on my list. Did we put this on my list, really, Danny? Did you do this? I wrote this, didn't I? Why did I write this? Okay, so here's a true confession. As two middle-aged men, what would you say is the best way to maintain our physical fitness? Because, here's the problem I have. I can't understand this. How do I go to bed? Not for 8.6 hours, unfortunately, more like 6.8 or sometimes 5. But I get up after 6 or 7 hours of sleep. I've been laying flat on my back, horizontal, that whole time. And to my knowledge, I did not have a nightmare about going 12 rounds with you or Mike Tyson.
Okay.
And I wake up and I got to go use the restroom,
Yeah.
and things hurt.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. How could I? I haven't even done anything yet. I didn't run a 40-yard dash. I didn't throw a football, and I'm already hurting at the age of 48.
Yeah.
So help us ordinary fellas, us either has-beens, wannabes, never was, deal with this thing called middle age.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, that's one of the things that I've had to come to grips with as I've aged.
Really?
Because
champion like yourself?
Yeah, because I when I would train, it'd be nothing within an hour and a half that I'd throw 1,200 kicks in a training session. Right? That's how I got
Holy
myself
smokes,
prepared.
that's a lot.
It's a lot of kicks, and I've realized that as I've aged,
Mm-hmm.
it isn't so much that I can't do it. It's that my body doesn't recover as well as it used to. and so I
Yes.
pay for it. And then what happens is if I'm not being conscious about it, then I start to get nicked up. Start getting injured.
Okay, okay.
So I'd say what the two things that I would say for middle-aged men is, number one is be consistent. So
Okay.
rather than train for a couple days, then do nothing for 2 weeks, and then hit it again, the old weekend warrior syndrome.
yeah.
Do something little every day to keep yourself moving in some way, shape, or form. It's just so important. And then also is to make sure that you're cognizant of, you don't need, if you're not competing on an international or elite level, you don't need to train that way. You're training for health. You're not training for competition unless you are, right?
Yeah.
But even when you're training for competition, even the elite swimmers now. My niece is a swimmer at Boise State.
Oh, nice.
And I'm hearing that a lot of the swimmers now are actually paring back on their training because they're finding that if you train too much, it's
exhausts the body, right? Train the
Exactly.
body.
But it's consistency, guys. Like I have a routine that I do. It's 6 days a week that I'm moving every day.
Okay.
But Thursday is generally my off day. I do some calisthenics in the morning. But I'm
Okay.
doing something every day.
Nice.
And the thing that I would say to everyone too is plan it. Have it in your calendar.
Wait, you mean I can't just
No.
figure that I'll
well,
get to the
because
gym?
most people will do this, okay? I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to work out, and they decide that morning or they don't. So I'll do it at noon. Then what happens? You get the phone call.
You're busy.
I'll do it when I get home at night. Then the kid needs picked up, whatever, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't do it. So I tell my clients to schedule their training, and I personally like to do it first thing in the morning.
Nice.
It's one of the first things I do.
Yeah.
And if you miss a day, get this, my friends, just don't miss 2 days.
I like
Okay?
that.
If you miss a day, we all do. I have in the last week. I was traveling, I was speaking. But if you're going to miss a day, just don't miss 2 days.
That's great.
Just don't miss 2 days.
Man, that's brilliant. I appreciate your time today. So guys, my takeaway for us middle-aged guys with our testosterone dropping, it's creating the structure, that discipline that creates the habit, and doing that over and over again. And then understanding, I've heard this phrase, there's the new normal. We don't have to try and perform at that elite level. I've told a lot of guys at the gym, hey, or like there's this 19-year-old that I joke with him, like he lives in the gym. I'm like, dude, you do have a home, right? Like, do you go home and eat and like see people and stuff?
Yeah.
And I've joked with him that, here's the deal. Like being fit when you're 20 is by accident. Being fit when you're almost 50 is 100% on purpose.
That's right.
And so it's just understanding that you have a new normal. I'm now, still trying to compete. Thank you, JB Braden, for putting me on a flag football team. And yes, my hip flexors hurt like never before in 20 years. But I'm not training for performance. I'm training for maintenance, right? So that I don't hurt. Yeah. So as we wrap up today, guys, thank you very much, Master Natzke. A couple of plugs. So we just launched Beers, Bros, and Bucks 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't that awesome? Here in the Denver area. So we've now got Colorado Springs, we've got Denver, Greeley coming, maybe outside the state coming soon near you. And coming up Thursday, May 16th, want to definitely plug this, the Man Map. So it's a conversation, panel discussion. We're going to have some socializing, some meet, some greet, some hors d'oeuvres, some drinks. Then we're going to hunker down into 90 minutes, a 3-man panel talking about providing, surviving, thriving in a man's world today in America. Don't miss that. And then, of course, coming up right on the heels of that, June 29th, this gentleman, myself, 3 other incredible men are going to break down the 5 pillars of male wellness. We'll be in Northwest Parker, Colorado, Saturday, the last Saturday of June for 3 hours. So we appreciate you tuning in today. And remember, always be extraordinary.